Watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Welcome back to the Final Ghouls of Horror. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Holly.
And I'm Elle.
We're three people who love horror and are coming at it from different perspectives of who we are, as well as very different levels of experience with the genre, which we're always excited to talk about. And this week we're stealing crossbows and fighting for our lives as we take a look at 2016's Hush. So, Holly, have you seen Hush before? What's your history with this film, or more generally, with Mike Flanagan? Are you a fan? How much of his stuff have you seen?
I've seen a little bit of his stuff. I had not seen Hush, but I heard about it like when it first came out, about the concept, and then I think it just sort of left my mind. Like, I meant to watch it and then I didn't.
Yeah.
But I am familiar with some of his things.
Which stuff of his have you seen before?
Sorry, my mind is blanking.
No,
so
you're
much.
good.
Midnight Mass is him, yes?
Midnight Mass is him.
Yeah, okay.
Haunting of Hill House is him.
Mm-hmm.
Bly Manor. In terms of his movies, Oculus, Before I Wake, Hush, Ouija Origin of Evil, Gerald's Game, Doctor Sleep, and Life of Chuck.
Okay. I'm familiar with Midnight Mass.
Fair.
No, I did watch Haunting of Hill House. No, I'm familiar with those two.
Okay.
And they're both very well done.
And Follow the House of Usher as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course.
Which is perhaps my favorite of his personally, but...
Yeah, then yes, I am familiar with him.
Okay.
Just not so much his movies.
Not so much his movies. That's fair. Elle, how about you? Have you seen... I know you've seen at least part of one of those shows.
Yeah, I am partway through Fall of the House of Usher. There is only so much time in a day / week, month, year.
100%. Have you... I thought maybe you might have seen Oculus? Because
Nope.
it was a WWE Studios production.
Not. This is, like, basically I learnt about it an hour ago that it even existed.
Okay, no, that is very fair. It's one of those rare WWE Studios productions that doesn't have a WWE star in it. I think I don't remember whether they picked it up after it was produced or beforehand. There is briefly in Oculus, there is briefly a reference to Triple H.
Well, I mean, you got to make sure he goes over.
Right. Yep. The cursed mirror in question is described as having been recovered from the Levesque estate,
Nice.
implying that Triple H has died by supernatural curse in Oculus.
Yeah, he's been up against The Undertaker how many times?
Exactly.
But other than that, I've seen The Midnight Club.
Okay.
And that was it.
Fair. That's one of the only ones I actually haven't seen.
I've seen part of that, but I didn't get into it.
Yeah, that seems to be, from what I've seen of people, it seems to be probably his least well-regarded television series.
Huh.
But, which is not to say that it is bad or has bad reviews, I don't think. It's just not considered to be on the level of Hill House, Bly Manor, Full House of Usher, or Midnight Mass.
And I know that this was my suggestion for a movie, so it's a bit of a weird coincidence of how it came about as well. Because I was listening to one of my other podcasts, I've mentioned it before a couple of times now, the Scaredy Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, three scared friends make each other watch horror movies and then hate each other for it.
Right.
But they also do, like, a regular movie podcast called Eye Cramps, where they had just watched Sound of Metal.
Okay, yep.
Which is like, deals with a deaf character or a heavy metal musician, a drummer, I think, who ends up going deaf.
Right.
And then they learned about Hush. After having watched Gerald's Game and Doctor Sleep and really enjoying them. So it's like, oh, well, we're on board for this.
Nice.
And it was such an interesting concept crossover that I thought, oh, well, yeah, I'll bring this to this podcast so we can have a chat.
Absolutely. For me, I am, as, I don't know if everybody calls it, but this is what I've always heard. I am a Flanagan. I remember I saw Oculus when it came out and thought it was pretty decent. But I think, like most people, I didn't start recognizing that, okay, Mike Flanagan by name as this is somebody I should pay attention to until Hush, really, until that year, 2016, because Hush came out, Ouija Origin of Evil came out, which was, the first Ouija is not a good film, so people did not have high expectations for, they're making a Ouija prequel, and it actually ends up being pretty solid. And then from there, it just steamrolled. The only one that I had not seen of his films before the start of this year was Gerald's Game. And then I finally saw that earlier this year. And then I've seen all of his shows except for Bly Manor. I started watching that this year. I'm only one episode in. And then I just haven't gotten around to Midnight Club yet. But I am a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of Kate Siegel, who is his wife, who is the star of Hush. Yeah, I just really like his stuff. He has his own ability to make, and to some people it's considered to be kind of a disadvantage or a negative, but he makes, on the whole, very sentimental horror films that have a lot of heart and emotion into them. Hush, I think, is probably his least sentimental film, but there's still elements of that in here. And then as for Hush itself, I think I had seen it. I don't know if I saw it right when it hit Netflix. It might have been like a year or so after, because it's Netflix, and a lot of times you don't find the stuff when it comes out. You only find it, I'm bored, I want to watch something tonight. This sounds interesting.
Yeah, if it's not like instantly popular in the first day or two of release, it gets buried.
Exactly. But no, I saw it like probably within the first year and liked it. I had not revisited it before now. Not for any other reason than I really like that. Okay, we're moving on and we're finding other stuff. So yeah. Anyway, so Hush is a very particular subgenre of horror, specifically home invasion films, which includes, we're talking about things like The Strangers, You're Next. It's not horror, but it's still a home invasion. Panic Room, When a Stranger Calls, Funny Games, movies like that. There is a whole host of these. Elle, is this a subgenre that you have a lot of experience with? Is it something that you are a fan of?
Other than this, the closest I've come to it is with the Final Girl board game. There is an expansion based on Strangers.
Right.
I have yet to play it, but I know that is what it's based off.
All right. I will be adding plenty of home invasion films to the list. Because this is a subgenre that I rather like. It's one that really gets under people's skin more than your typical subgenre. Like slashers, I think, we all love slashers, but a lot of slashers slashers are a fun genre, right?
They're popcorn films.
Yes. I mean, that's not to say that some of them aren't really unnerving and can get under your skin. But it's more about like the fun factor of it, for lack of a better term. Home invasion hits somewhere a lot closer to stuff like body horror or stuff that really hits at people's particular discomfort factors, because it's somebody busting into your house and doing terrible things. Like they're coming into your safe zone and fucking up your world. I don't know why I really like that, but I do. Holly, do you have a lot of experience with home invasion films? Is this a subgenre that you're interested in?
I've seen a few home invasion films, and I seem to always enjoy them. Okay. So I'm definitely, when I heard the premise of this one, it sounded really interesting.
Yeah, no, legit.
Yeah. No, I find them pretty enjoyable.
Which ones have you seen that you were big fans of?
I'm trying to... The Purge, which is the first one. Definitely.
Okay, fair.
Home invasion.
Yeah, no, the first one is full home invasion.
What was that one? When a Stranger Calls.
Okay. That's one that I actually haven't seen. Either version of it, the 70s one or the 2000s one.
70s one is better. Original is usually always better, but yeah. Both are good. I mean, I still enjoyed the 2000s one.
Right.
I know there are others. My mind is just blanking right now.
No, that's fair.
But yeah, those are the ones off the top of my head.
Right on. If I had to pick phase, I would say The Strangers, the original and the sequel, not the new trilogy, which is utter shit. The new trilogy basically takes the premise of the first one and says, but what if we expanded that? What if we remade it pointlessly, expanded, made 2 movies to follow it up, and then gave The Strangers a backstory and explained it? Which legitimately destroys the point of the first film. Because the point of the first film is they are not, we don't know who they are. They are normal people, and they don't have a reason for doing what they're doing. Like the famous quote from that film is one of the characters saying, "Why are you doing this?" And the response is, "Because you were home." So I like those first two films. Your Next is a home invasion film with a twist to it that I really enjoyed. Don't Breathe is a reverse home invasion film, which is a fun subversion of it. There's one particularly icky plot point that I don't love, but other than that, it's fantastic. And then I've mentioned this one a couple of times. Inside, which is a New French Extremity home invasion film about a pregnant woman on New Year or on Christmas Eve who had lost her husband in a car accident a few months earlier, who has someone show up at her house and try to get in. And then it gets intense from there, let's say. Those are probably my favorites in this genre, but there are a lot of ones that I really, really like from this. They don't always work, but for the most part, like if I see a home invasion a film come out, I will at least give it a shot. But yeah, before we get into the film itself, Holly, give us some production history on this one.
Hush is a film written by Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel and directed by Flanagan. It stars Siegel, John Gallagher Jr., Samantha Sloyan, Michael Trucco, and Emma Graves. The film is Flanagan's third studio film following 2011's Absentia and 2013's Oculus. It is his second collaboration with Siegel, who is his wife and has gone on to appear in most of Flanagan's projects since. Flanagan and Siegel came up with the idea for the story in 2014 while on a dinner date. The two cited the 1967 home invasion film Wait Until Dark, which stars Audrey Hepburn as a blind woman dealing with criminals in her home as an inspiration. Because the film has so little dialogue, Flanagan and Siegel wrote the script largely by role-playing the scenes in their own house. They ended up having to change some elements during shooting because the house they used was different than their own house's layout. The film was shot in 18 days and was produced by Blumhouse Pictures with a budget of just $1 million. Flanagan originally wanted to do it in black and white, but that idea was nixed due to cost and concerns over its markability. Netflix picked it up after a buyer's screening at Toronto International Film Festival in 2015 and released it on the service on April 8, 2016. Critics were quite positive on the film, which has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences liked it as well, with a 73% audience rating. Stephen King and The Exorcist director William Friedkin both heavily praised the film, with King comparing it to Halloween and Friedkin calling it a great horror film. The film was the first of Flanagan's projects with Netflix. He went on to release several projects through Netflix, including the Stephen King adaptation Gerald's Game, and various TV series, including The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, The Midnight Club, and The Fall of the House of Usher. A few fun facts about the film. This film contains less than 15 minutes of dialogue out of an 82-minute runtime. Flanagan used ambient sounds like an ultrasound machine to represent the film from Maddie's perspective, and Siegel had to record ADR of her own breathing into the final film. When the film released on Blu-ray and DVD through Shout Factory, it included a shush cut that is in black and white and removes almost all of the score, making it closer to how Flanagan and Siegel first envisioned it.
Yep. So a little bit of content warning. There's not too much in this one. It is pretty, I don't want to use the term safe as a home invasion film, but it doesn't hit too much terrible. There is hand trauma, which is kind of a Flanagan hallmark, really. Anybody who's seen Gerald's Game will know what I mean by that. Threatened and threatened animal violence, stalking, and obviously home invasion. And there is violence. It's a horror film. It happens. So, Elle.
Maddie Young lives alone on an isolated property in the woods, stemming from issues coping with being deaf and mute from a case of meningitis when she was 13, made permanent by a botched surgery. She maintains relationships with her sister through video calls and in person with her friend Sarah. While the two discuss Maddie's latest book, the meal that Maddie was preparing catches fire, only noticed by Sarah at first because of the ringing and sounding alarm. Eventually, the two part ways, making plans to meet up at a later date. After improvising a replacement meal, Maddie starts cleaning up the mess, but unknown to her because of her disability, Sarah runs to her house screaming, being chased by a masked assailant. But it's no use, as the man brutally stabs Sarah to death, all while Maddie is just on the other side of a glass door. The killer is intrigued by the revelation and retreats into the darkness for now. Maddie returns to work trying to finish a draft on a new novel, finding it impossible due to writer's block. She takes a call from her sister, who is worried about her being alone in the house, before she thinks she sees something in the background. Maddie then ends the conversation none the wiser, resuming typing until she gets a message from her own phone with pictures of her. The man outside cuts the power, leaving Maddie stranded without a chance for help. Desperate, she writes a message in lipstick on the glass door for the man to read. Won't tell, didn't see face, boyfriend coming home. Unmoved by the plea, the man deliberately takes off the mask, saying, well, you've seen it now, and quoting Maddie's sister verbatim about how she's alone. Maddie then tries a number of ways to escape, from activating her car alarm to lure the man away, to hiding under her porch, and even attempting to leave via the roof. As she does, she manages to wrestle the man's crossbow away from him, hoping to use it as a weapon, even after she is shot by it. Losing blood rapidly, Maddie tries to tie off the wound and treat it before figuring out how the crossbow works. Sarah's partner, John, comes to the house to look for her, but runs into the man, who starts posing as a police deputy responding to a call for help. John's suspicions grow until he decides to try and smash the man over the head with a pot, but is distracted, unfortunately, by Maddie attempting to warn him. This allows the killer to take him out with multiple stabs. As the man recovers from the fight, John suddenly grabs him in a chokehold, strangling the man with all of his fading strength before dying, leaving the man gasping for air, but ultimately unharmed. The man encounters Maddie's cat and is about to kill it until he ends up taking a crossbow bolt to the shoulder from the woman. As she retreats to the house, he manages to catch up and brutally slams the door on her wrist before crushing her hand under his boot as Maddie screams silently. The man lets Maddie pull her hand inside and lock the door again, clearly still in control. In a defiant acceptance, Maddie writes another message on the door, this time in blood. Do it. As the man tries to break through the door, Maddie runs to her laptop to type out a description of her soon-to-be killer, along with a message to her family that she died fighting. She then retreats to the bathroom to hold a defensive position, even as the blood loss is starting to affect her. Again, Maddie's disability causes problems as the man breaks through a window and drops into the bathtub that Maddie is sitting against, but she doesn't notice the sound. Just as he goes to strike, however, he exhales. Feeling the subtle movement on the back of her neck, Maddie narrowly avoids the attack and stabs the man in the knee. She stumbles to the kitchen with the man in pursuit. Feigning dead, she grabs a can of insect spray to blind him and then sets off her designed for deaf and hard of hearing users fire alarm, making it flash intensely. The two fall into a death struggle as the man chokes Maddie with his hands. With a last ounce of strength, she finds a fallen corkscrew and impales the man through the neck, killing him. She manages to retrieve her phone from the man, dialing 911 before blacking out for a moment. She then goes outside, sits on her porch as the police lights flash in the distance, petting her cat. Injured, triumphant, alive.
Yep. So let's get into the film itself. As you said, this is a home invasion film, with the distinction that it has a protagonist who is deaf and non-speaking. As opposed to, I think, a lot of films, one of the things that kind of sets this film apart is that it doesn't treat Maddie's disabilities as something that makes her less capable. And it doesn't treat them as some sort of unique advantage, some superpower, for the most part. All it is an aspect to her character that affects how she responds to this situation. So, Elle, how do you feel about how the movie and Siegel's performance treats Maddie both as a character and in terms of her disability?
And it's certainly a fascinating perspective. And I don't know if she managed to do it sort of live or if they had to play around with some of the sound editing, but not being able to even make the faintest hint of noise except for just the exhaling and just breathing. Mm-hmm. So it's yeah, she's selling that she's just pulled a crossbow bolt out of her leg and biting down and almost screaming and crying and not a sound. But on the opposite side of that, they don't really do a lot with it. Obviously it's representative of someone who is deaf, hard of hearing, but that should inform a little bit more about her life, about community or lack thereof. It plays with it a bit, but I think it could go deeper. Because it is, I think, a look at being deaf from the perspective of someone who is not.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but it's not like they approached a sensitivity reader or something to get are there any small things that we can add to this?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, they didn't. That doesn't. I don't know. They do whether they did or not in terms of that.
I mean, that's what I got from it anyway. It's from just a surface read, yep, it scans all good, everything tracks, feels great. For someone who is in that scene, I'm not, but for someone who is, right, they might be able to look at it and go, well, this isn't real because of this, that, and the other.
Sure.
It's you can sometimes hear someone with a fake accent because they're not hitting the correct, someone trying to do an Aussie accent, they don't stretch their vowels enough.
Right.
Even though it sounds close enough. It's no, I can pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
There are certainly some Hollywoodisms as far as that stuff goes, and narrative contrivance. I am not familiar with full vocal cord paralysis and how that affects things. But yes, it is noticeable that she legitimately doesn't make a sound other than exhalations here and there.
It's not even being able to force a squeak, because that still wouldn't be a thing.
So here's the question. Does that affect your enjoyment or appreciation of the character?
No, but it's just an additional thing to note.
100%. And I will say I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of people who are hearing disabled, who very much like the film. I have seen pushback against it as well. And again, we should point out Kate Siegel is a fully hearing, fully able to speak person, which there's been a little, I've seen a little bit of pushback on that occasionally in reviews, which is a fair point. I think if this film had even been made, I don't know, 2-3 years later, I think that would have been different. And I think that quite possibly, I mean, to be fair, Flanagan and Siegel did kind of put this film together essentially for her to star in. But I feel like it's very possible that there's been a lot more of a push in the last several years for disabled representation in acting. And so I think it's very possible that we would have a different star if this was made, again, 2-3 years later. Certainly these days. How beyond just the disabled aspect of it, how do you like Maddie just as a character, as the lead character of a home invasion film?
I mean, a little bit flat, but not to a detriment. It's
really,
it is exactly what it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, fair.
It doesn't need to be like over the top bombastic, action hero-esque.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's what it is. It is a look at just an average person.
Right.
This isn't someone who is like, 3 years ago I was with the Marines and they never stopped lifting weights.
Yeah.
Or, I have a secret backstory where I'm super powered. It's just, maybe a little bit of a weird thing to say, but average looking person just in a situation out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. And I think it would be a lesser film if she was super badass.
Yeah. And that's all right. Nothing against her. She's a little bit flat, but that's what it needs.
Yes. Fair enough. Holly, how do you think, again, how do you feel like Siegel and the script manage the deafness and the non-speaking, how it sort of plays into this story, and what do you think of Siegel's performance here?
I think she does a great job. I was able to tell that. Now, I didn't recognize the actress at first,
Mm-hmm.
but I was able to tell that she is not deaf.
Right.
From the beginning of it. But I think she did. And for a while, I was like, well, why didn't they just get a deaf actress?
Right.
Play and then like I see what they did with the like her talking to herself like towards the end, and I did like that.
Right.
And I do like her as an actress. At the same time, I think this maybe could have gone to someone who was deaf to give it another layer of realism. And
I don't disagree.
It would be more accurate if it were portrayed. One of my best friends growing up was almost completely blind, and she had a little bit of visibility, and whenever we would watch a show or anything where someone was portraying someone who was blind and they were obviously not actually blind, she would tell me everything they were doing wrong.
Right.
So I kind of like, I don't know someone who is deaf, but I feel like if I did, they would probably pick this apart on, okay, this is not exactly how that would happen.
Right.
But I think for what it was done pretty well. I would have liked a little more of the scenes, like where she was under the porch and she was feeling the vibrations of where his feet were, or feeling his breath on the back of her neck. I would have liked a little bit more of that sort of thing.
Fair enough. I think, for me, first of all, it has consistently confounded me why Kate Siegel is not a bigger star. Maybe just because she mostly makes time for Flanagan's films, but I really, really like her as an actress. I think this is not the first project of hers that made a super impression on me. I think she's very good here. And rewatching it, I definitely really appreciate her performance. I think she brings a lot of humanity that I don't think is necessarily in the script, which is funny because she co-wrote the script, but you know what I mean. I think the thing that it was Haunting of Hill House was the first point where I really stood up and took notice of her. She plays Theodora, who is a member of the central family in the series, who has, I mean, the nice way to the shorthand to say is she has The Shining. If for people who are familiar with Stephen King stuff, she basically has that, and she does a phenomenal role with that character, with a lot of nuance of for people familiar with X-Men, of essentially rogue syndrome, of not necessarily being able to touch people and what that means. So I really took notice of her there, and then have seen, every time I've seen her in something after that, I've really, really loved it. She was great in Fall of the House of Usher. She's just generally somebody that I really enjoy. As far as Maddie, again, I very much like the performance that she's giving. I agree. Like I said, I think that casting a deaf actress is something that would have probably happened, again, 3-4 years later. It doesn't necessarily bother me here, particularly when, it allows them to do the scene towards the end, which deaf actors could do that as well. I did really, really like, and we'll get into that part a little bit later, but I know, I just like, again, with this character, the so many films historically, when somebody is blind or somebody is deaf or has another kind of disability, Hollywood doesn't always treat those things well, because they need to fit them within a narrative convenience and whatever tropes that they are playing with. I really like the way that this just treats being deaf and non-speaking as just a trait. And it's obviously, it changes the way that she deals with both day-to-day life stuff and this extraordinary situation. But it's not like it's not something that horribly hinders her, and it's not something where she has supervision because she's deaf, or she can sense vibrations a football field away, or something which a lot of shows or films absolutely would have done. So as a character, I think that she is very... I think every woman-ish would be a good way to put it, sort of an everyman kind of character, but also just really compelling and really sympathetic. She was somebody I did not mind spending, 80 minutes almost entirely focused on, because there is her and there is one other character that really matter in this. We have a few other characters, but really it's just her and the man, as he's referred to in the script. Who, speaking of which, this is a character who, we don't know what his motivation for. We don't know a lot about him. He's just a serial killer with a crossbow. And that you could make probably some inferences to his character, but really that's all that we're meant to know there. Holly, do you think that between the script and John Gallagher Jr.'s performance, do you think that that's enough to make him both a solid character and a formidable antagonist for Maddie?
I think, honestly, like, I was trying to figure it out as I was watching it, because I'm like, okay, he doesn't really have a motive. And then after a while, I'm like, he's just kind of a psychopath having this is a good night for him.
Yep.
This is what he does for entertainment.
And he got a twofer.
And yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, that's all I really need to know. I don't need this big dramatic backstory about him, because this movie is more about the fight.
Right.
So,
and
yeah.
If anybody, it's about Maddie. It's not about him.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, by the time he's using her friend's corpse to knock on the door, I'm like, he's just having fun. He's getting creative with it.
That scene, and we'll talk about that a little bit when we get into direction, but that is one of my absolute highlight scenes of this movie.
He is a creative soul.
It's so fucked up.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, no, legit. I'm curious, have you... It's funny because Gallagher has sort of just a guy face. I know him from The Newsroom. I don't know, have either of you guys seen The Newsroom before?
No.
I've seen a Newsroom.
I mean, fair. So The Newsroom is an HBO series. It's an Aaron Sorkin series, and it stars Jeff Daniels. And it is about a 24-hour, fictional 24-hour, like a CNN, Fox News kind of place. Gallagher plays the producer, the show is great. People's mileage may vary, particularly based on their, depending on their politics. But I really like the show. Gallagher plays the producer, one of the producers for the show, and it's a good performance and it's a good character, but he is the sort of the airplane level top down view of it is he is a bland, nice guy, which is kind of the opposite of this character. So it was a little bit of a nice playing against type for him, for me at least. I know he's done other stuff. I couldn't tell you what other stuff he's done. I always just immediately jump to the newsroom. He's also, I will say, he is also a musician and stage performer. He originated the role of Moritz in Spring Awakening, if anybody is familiar with that,
Yes.
and
No.
won a Tony for it. I thought one of you might and one of you might not, and I was correct on my guesses.
So, I mean, talking about that character from the newsroom, then, is it the kind of character that you could see this character as a logical progression of? Or that sometimes people do like split personality, alternate, like you put on your party mask face. Is this the kind of character that could be in that character?
I could see it weirdly.
Because it's always like they say it's the quiet ones that are like they snap. It's always the nice guys, all of that. It's like that's what just got me wondering. Is it like in a year's time from there, is this going to be a potential outcome for him?
Listen, he is in the newsroom. He is the kind of nice guy person where if he got rejected by the wrong girl in the wrong way, yeah, I could see it. And I have a lot of thoughts on the man. But Elle, how do you feel about, again, the character as it is on the page and the performance that we're getting? How he stands up on his own as sort of an adversary to Maddie. How does he work for you?
I really did not enjoy it because rooting for the bad guy type of thing, but I really found that it was a good role.
Mm-hmm.
It is almost like a Jason or a Mike Myers, except with more intelligence.
Yeah,
but not
very much so.
Not as quippy and quirky as like a Freddy Krueger.
Right.
Like, yeah, he just sits in that space of not uncanny valley, but like just the unsettling realism.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like he could have absolutely have done more, but chose not to.
Yeah.
Obviously to his own detriment at the end, but yeah,
but there is
always that feeling of there is so much more up his sleeve, and he's just ignoring that part of his arsenal.
100%. He's just a fucking asshole. Like, also a psychotic serial killer, but like I almost resonate the he kind of gives off incel vibes. Like in a big way.
Yeah, and
right up to the end when the best insult that he has is to call her a fucking cunt.
Yeah, which is like, that's just your daily greeting down here.
Yeah, well, yes, no, difference in location for sure.
It's like, oi, Jono, you mad cunt, how you going? Fuck you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just you greeting a good friend.
Yes, that particular word has very different connotations where you're from and where we're from.
I think what really cemented it as well is when she's trying to get the crossbow set up and there's just all the tally marks.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's just like he's just been doing this the exact same way, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably less successfully because one would assume that that all these victims aren't deaf and mute and
Right.
trapped and alone.
No, I get the impression that most of his victims die the way Sarah died. Like, they're hunted down. He goes through his play the most dangerous game bullshit and hunts someone down and out in the woods goes and shoots them and then stabs them to death. And then with Maddie, he's like, oh, this is something. A, this is a bonus for me tonight. And B, this is something I can play with, probably because he's like, oh, this woman is deaf. That means I've already, this is an easy win for me. So I can play around with her and get in whenever I want because she is an invalid. That works out well for him.
Because he could have broken through that glass window door, like
100%.
At any point.
Yep. And that's what makes him, that's what I think makes him such a great fucking character. It's like the decisions that he makes that essentially serve a couple of purposes. A, they prolong the film, but B, are just like fucking horrible person. Like I said, incel nonsense. Like, I haven't seen your face. Oh, let me take off my mask. Or yeah, not busting in, all the rest of it. Holly, how do you like this guy? As a character, not as somebody you might encounter in the wild.
This is going to sound so bad. As a serial killer, he's what I aspire to be.
If
I were.
And finally, the truth comes out.
This podcast is going to be evidence in a trial one day.
This is all an elaborate ruse. I actually have all the evidence right here. All right, let's go through case number 1. This is an intervention.
Yeah, no, he's, like I said, he is a creative soul. He is,
yes.
He has fun with it. And he's smart. He's, he's quick on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
See someone show up. Oh, immediately I'm going to go into the cop routine.
Yep.
And then the second he grabs the cat is like, oh, he's got plans for the cat.
Which I will say, thank fucking God, because you can kill anything else. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, same.
Man, woman, child, I don't care. You do what you want. You go after the animals, you better do it well or you have lost me, movie. So, no. This you spend the entire film, at least I did, being like, oh, don't kill the cat. Oh, don't kill the cat. Shit, the cat got out. Fuck, that cat's gonna be in trouble.
No.
Oh, shit. Yep.
No, the whole time I'm like, that cat is final girl.
Okay, fair. Cat probably outlives Maddie. You're probably not wrong.
Yes.
But yeah, no, like I said, I really like the man as a character. And it's funny, I've actually seen some reviews, letterbox reviews mostly, who talk about how the man makes stupid decisions throughout, or Maddie makes stupid decisions throughout. They make human decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. I think they are mostly both very smart, very resourceful. I think the man's, you can argue, well, you can, I would say argue, but it's indisputable. He's an arrogant fucker, and that's what does him in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what always
But I
does them
don't
in.
think he's, yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. But I don't think he's dumb.
No.
He's smart. He thinks quickly. Same thing with Maddie. You know, there are a lot of things that she does that are legitimately very smart moments. And enough that there are a few nice fist pump moments too. Shooting him when he's about to kill the cat. Spraying him in the face with wasp repellent. Was a big fuck yeah moment as far as I was concerned. And on his side, God, the fucking window scene is one of the creepiest things. Like, sorry, the Sarah knocking on the window scene specifically. There are a lot of window scenes, I realize.
He was just getting creative with the props he was given.
Yeah, 100%. But Jesus Christ. And the way that is shot too, like we'll talk a little bit about the direction, but because you see the knocking and you see the shadow on the wall, and at that point there's no reason to suspect that it's not the man, and then it's slowly like you start to realize there's something not quite right because of the way the shadow, the wrist is a little bit off, and like, okay, well, maybe he's just knocking strange. And then it slowly like pans over. Yeah, it's such a good scene. But talking about Sarah, I don't think there's not a lot here, so we don't need to go too in depth on them. But Holly, what do you think about, we basically have three supporting characters. We have Sarah, we have John, and then we have Sarah's boyfriend, and then we have Max's sister. Are there any of these that make a good impression or a big impression on you?
Did the boyfriend ever appear?
Sorry, John is Sarah's boyfriend.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about her ex.
No,
yes.
The ex is Craig.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, he's mentioned. And I thought it was going to come back to that at the beginning.
I'm going to be honest, I did too, and I'm glad it didn't.
Yes. It was just like a red herring.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. None of them had very big parts. Sarah probably had the biggest part.
Mm-hmm.
Slash her corpse.
Slash her corpse.
They were good.
Mm-hmm.
I keep forgetting her sister made an appearance, but yeah, she was on the video call.
Yes.
They served their purpose. Like, just nothing really stood out to me. They served their purposes.
Fair enough. Al, how about you? Were there any of the characters that those three supporting characters that stood out to you particularly, good or bad?
I mean, John is a goddamn hero, and Maddie is the world's biggest idiot for not doing anything with that.
Fair.
Because it's like he gets tricked a bit at first by the police routine, but then he starts having those suspicions. It's like, oh, I noticed you didn't give my phone back. Okay, this is getting a bit weird. Yeah, down over here where there's a conspicuous big smashing pot.
Right.
And then, yeah, he gets got, but even as he's got the guy in the chokehold, how long does he have that hold in for? Like, that is very easy. Oh, he's down. Okay, I'm going to run out and just stab through the head and the whole thing's done.
Well, to be fair, they do address that through her dialogue with herself.
Yeah, but that's after he's already like out of it.
No. So yes, kind of. But that is, admittedly, it's sort of because we see him down. We see him tackle her. We see John tackle the man. And then she looks, she sees that he's not there. She goes running. And then we get this scene that's sort of a fake out scene where the man hits her with a rock and then essentially bashes her head in.
Yeah.
And then we cut back and there's the dialogue between herself where she runs through the endings, which, by the way, I thought was nicely set up from the beginning. But while that scene is going on and she's talking to herself and we're running through the motions, we then cut back and essentially that has all happened a lot quicker than it played out on screen.
Yeah. I'm just thinking there's a lot of time still that he is, like, the man is trapped and a prime stabbable target.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching that and just going, come on, just do it now, for fuck's sake.
I mean, fair, and that's what it's trying to make you do. It is trying to make you want to go out. But I do think if within the confines of the film, if she had come out there, we kind of, I don't think that she would have been able to. I think she knows, and I think the movie knows she would have been unsuccessful. The only thing that I really fault her for, and it's not even her fault, is ruining John's ruse.
Yeah, because she wouldn't have known that he was aware of it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's fair. I'm gonna be honest, the whole John thing, it's not bad. I think it serves its purpose well. It does kind of kill the momentum of the film for me. It's like we have to stop to deal with this scene that goes on probably a little bit too long. I like the fake out and again, Maddie running through the various endings in her mind and saying, okay, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. I just would have liked the John scene, John and the man scene, to have maybe wrapped up a little bit sooner, because it does seem to drag on a bit. I really like Sarah as a character. Those opening scenes, they're very exposition-y, and this is, again, partially because I really like Samantha Sloyan, who has become a Flanagan regular. She is a particular character in Midnight Mass, who her performance is very good. I will put it that way. And she's popped up in another. She's always great in it.
I'm now trying to figure out who she was in Midnight Mass.
She was.
I know who she was now. I looked at her face.
She was Bev.
Yeah, no, I can't believe I didn't realize it at first. Okay, yep.
Yep. And in Haunting of Hill House, she is the oldest brother's wife.
Okay.
And I don't remember who she plays in Fall of the House of Usher. I feel like it is like, I think she's the wife of the doctor member of the family.
I think you're right. And she's also in the Midnight Club as well.
Yeah. That's one thing, and I really like directors who work with the same people over and over again. It can be bad in some situations, but for the most part, like, I like that kind of thing. Seeing, it's a Mike Flanagan film, so I know that Kate Siegel and Carla Gugino and possibly Karen Gillan and Henry Thomas and maybe Mark Hamill will be showing up. I always enjoy that kind of thing. But yeah, I like Soyen's performances, Sarah, and I like the chemistry between those two actresses. It's important to really make us care in that short amount of scene for because it's only like 5 minutes or so in the opening. It's important to make us care so that when Sarah gets a really fucking brutal death, we care about it, and we care about it because Maddie cares. The only performance I think is sketchy, and I don't know. I've never seen. This is the only thing I've ever seen the actress in. It could be just because there was a screen between them. Something about Emma Gray's performance as Max, as the sister, seemed off kilter to me. I don't know if either of you got that. She seemed to be operating on just kind of a different energy than the rest of it's a little too, I don't know.
I just thought it was because it was a brief scene and it was over video chat, so
it was just offline readings. Not by far the worst. Not the worst thing that it could have been. And you're right, it is super short.
I mean, certainly far from the worst thing we've ever seen for this podcast.
Oh, 100%. Plan man. But yeah, overall, the characters fill their roles quite nicely, and really, they're just there as almost set dressing, with the possible exception of Sarah, so that Maddie and the man can have their conflict. Going back to the home invasion aspect of a little bit. Elle, this is something that you were talking about off mic, but this does have fairly strong slasher elements, and that's something that when we're talking about home invasion films, there's a big overlap between them to some degree. That will vary from home invasion film to home invasion film, but like The Strangers or When a Stranger Calls, those lean pretty heavily into that sort of thing. There are things that make them very distinct, obviously. I would argue that Hush leans into it a little bit more than most. It's still doing the single location thing. Not that you can't have a single location slasher, but well, I think this is definitely home invasion over slasher. I do appreciate those elements. In your case, do the slasher elements make, because I know that you enjoy the genre, does it make this go down easier than a home invasion film that didn't have those elements might?
I think so, because as I said, I've not watched a lot of other ones, but I have heard bits and pieces. So my impression is that they lean a little bit more towards a thriller, or perhaps even like a bit of a mystery, rather than like a traditional slasher.
Quite potentially, yeah.
And I think that it helps that there's only the one antagonist versus having multiple, because then that that takes away some of that the slasher elements, basically. Like it robs it of some of the high note flavor, almost, so to speak.
Right. Well, and the more killers you get, the more victims you need.
Yeah.
Because this would just seem unfair if it was like 3 of them and the you know, Maddie and the other 2. That would just be mean.
Even if it was just still Maddie by herself with 3
Right.
with 3 killers on the outside, each of those needs time to do their thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%.
Like, you need to give, you know, the crossbow equal time to the knife, equal time to the arson, you know,
Right.
just picking things up. Whereas this is, you get to distill those into the one element.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah, no, I do. I enjoy, there's definitely a little bit of a slasher element here, and I do appreciate that. Particularly, I would say the mask, which is a super simple mask, and we dispose of it very, very quickly, but it is creepy as fuck. Like, I did really like the man's mask in terms of, A, it looks really good on a poster, but also it looks homemade. It doesn't look like slasher killer masks are a particular thing of mine. If they look too like overly done, overly like designed, I think a lot of times that's a detriment. I like this sort of homemade thing, and it works well here for me.
I mean, do you qualify Michael Myers as a homemade mask?
No, that is established in the first film as simply a store-bought mask.
It just has that little bit of a vibe to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's in part because the mask looks worse and better and worse and better with individual films. So some of them, it does look very much like this is a really shitty handmade mask. Some of them, it looks, I would say, the original film, the zombie films, and the most recent franchise or trilogy. It looks a little bit more professional, or at least I bought this from a good Halloween store as opposed to I bought this from the Party City knockoff.
But then, like, going the other way, to use a wrestling example, you wouldn't want a Fiend Bray Wyatt level.
No, because that just kind of loses me. Unless there's something in the backstory that works, that makes sense for it.
Because that's that over-designed feel.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, I think the slasher elements work here. I don't know if there is the level of gore I would associate with a slasher, but the meanness of the kills and the brutality without necessarily being, you know, scream level guts hanging out, I do think kind of make up for the lack of seeing someone's insides that you would get in a slasher film. Holly, what do you think of the slasher elements in this? Do they enhance the home invasion aspect, or do they take you out a little bit?
No, they definitely enhance it for me. I like slashers. I prefer slasher elements to most movies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, fair.
Any movie. I think the Mario movie could have definitely had some slasher elements, and it would have been more my thing.
Are you talking about the animated Mario movie or the live action 90s
Ooh.
Mario movie?
Either or, because I'm sorry, I was not a fan of that last one. But
Fair.
But if Mario started murdering people like that, it would have been more my thing.
I was not a fan of the animated one, so
Gotcha.
Actually, that's not true. I like the first Super Mario movie fine.
Yeah.
The new one, Super Mario Galaxy.
Oh my gosh.
That is some fucking nonsense right there.
I took my child because he's a Mario fan.
Right.
I wish that it had slasher elements to it. That said, Griffin would have been in therapy for many years, but
of course.
I would have enjoyed it. So
it's colorful and is cute, and I am a casual Mario fan in terms of the games, so I didn't understand what the fuck was going on like half the time in that
my
movie.
9-year-old was explaining it to me.
Fair.
That's where I
felt
was.
like, yeah. It just, yeah, not my thing. I'm glad $1 billion worth of people have enjoyed it.
I like going to the movies. I volunteered to take him.
Yeah, fair. But yeah, no, yeah, with slasher elements and everything. I agree.
Yeah, no, everything in life.
Yep.
Okay, maybe not, day-to-day life, but everything.
No, not day-to-day life, just, all movies, politics,
Oh, yes. Oh, that would make the Oval Office so much more interesting.
I'm just picturing like the Super Bowl game, and it's like, oh, sorry, we've had to substitute our kicker because they got found in a locker in pieces.
100%. By the way, we've added more evidence for this to be used as a feature in future court proceedings now.
It's fine. I'll never be convicted. We're going to burn everything.
They'll never catch me alive. Hey, look, the extradition paperwork alone would mean I'm going to be fine.
I was going to say, you might be, I don't know, are you in a non-extradition country?
No, I don't think so, but...
fair enough.
I mean, look, who has time for paperwork anyway?
Look, you're in Australia. You have a whole outback you can disappear into.
Yeah, and if not, I've got plenty of animals to do my killing for me.
Also that.
Look, even the trees sometimes want to kill you. I know at least 3 types of murderous trees.
But enough about the happening.
I was going to say it follows.
Oh, is that on our list? Is it follows on our list?
Yes, because I put it on there.
Okay, good.
I actually haven't seen it. That's why I put it on there. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a fun discussion when we get to it.
That's why I put it on there.
So yeah, we talked about, the slash elements. Let's talk about the direction, because I don't think Flanagan is not somebody who has a particular directorial style. Like, you're watching a Rob Zombie film. You're watching who are some other big auteurs. When you're watching a Christopher Nolan film or a Steven Spielberg film. I think
a Sam Raimi
film, 100%. I think Flanagan, well, he's arguably closest to the Spielberg in terms of his films. Obviously, there are common themes that he has, and his films always contain a level of emotion to them that I think makes them deeper, and it's something that I definitely latch onto for him as a director. I know some people say that his films or his shows become too sentimental or sappy, I say fuck off. Like, what was it? Life of Chuck, which came out last year, is a super sappy, super sentimental film, and I fucking loved it. It's not horror. It's not. It is at best vaguely horror adjacent. It's supernatural adjacent. I would put it that way. Not horror adjacent, but it is a really, really touching, fantastic film that actually. I know we're a horror pod. It made me want to see more from him that is not necessarily horror. That said, please keep making horror, Mike Flanagan, because please. I'm very excited for his Carrie TV series, which is funny because we've had so many versions of that story. Anyway, my point being, I think there aren't a lot necessarily of visual motifs here or that sort of thing, but one of the most overt elements of the capital D direction here is the sound design, which I think is interesting without being super flashy. It has a fairly restrained use of score, although there is a score in it. You've got those moments from Maddie's perspective that are standout moments. Elle, did the sound design, does it help immerse you in this film, or did it take you out of the situation? Like, how do you feel the sound design played?
It really worked for me. Like,
Okay, cool.
I could feel myself breathing less because I was trying to, like, make sure I was hearing as much as possible to, like, I guess subconsciously give myself an advantage.
Fair.
Like, it's like, oh, I am in this situation too. I have to get out. Let me try and think. And then it's like, no, wait, I'm watching a movie. What is wrong with my brain? But yeah, there were a couple of times that it was just like oh, I'm not breathing properly. Okay, let me think.
Yeah. I would say that that's a successful sound design then. Yeah, legit. Holly, how about you? How does the sound design play out for you? How does is it something that, again, is it something that drew you in? I can see a criticism that it could be it's splashy, I guess would be the way to put it, or clever. That it could take somebody out in terms of it being noticeable. Did it work for you?
Yeah, honestly, I think I was kind of in the same boat as Elle there on
Fair.
the, little too real and everything.
Right.
Of course,
no, legit.
With my current injuries, I do feel like I've stepped out of one of these films. So.
I mean, fair.
Kind of like, okay, well, at least I can defend myself this time. So,
right.
Would Rear Window get to you more at the moment?
Rear Window? No.
No, it's not going to play as hard.
Fair enough.
No.
Fair enough. I haven't seen Rear Window in a while. It's a good one. I will say, now the one thing that I will say, basically I agree with you guys. The one thing I will say, I did watch the Shush cut, which is, the only differences are it is in black and white. And again, the score is almost entirely removed. The only moments where the score come into play are in the final, I think it was when she was in the bathroom. That score is still there. Everything else, it's all instead of like there's still, when it comes to her perspective, it's still, the sound goes out a little bit, the sound goes out, and you get that sort of whooshing, semi-underwater kind of feel. The entire rest of it is the underlying sound is a forest, and like the crickets in the forest and that sort of stuff. I actually like that version slightly better than the theatrical version. There's a level of suspense there that just worked for me. Or not even suspense. There is a level of grounded realness when the score isn't in that was really good. One of the things I have to call both versions of this film out for is I like it, but it did throw me off at first. The fact that there's no sound at all over the opening company credits. I don't know about you guys. I actually had to go grab my remote and be like, oh shit, did I mute it or something like that? Because the Blumhouse logo usually has sound over it. I thought there was something wrong with like the either the stream or I had muted something like that, which was, I mean, it resolved quickly, but it did immediately kind of throw me off. Yeah, other than that, I think the sound design is really basically what you guys said. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, because this is kind of a key thing of Home Invasions, is how it uses its location. You know, Home Invasions, the word's literally right there in the title or in the subgenre. They take place generally in homes, so it's always interesting to see how these films deal with this setting. Here, I think Flanagan, he takes pains pretty early on to establish the geography of the house pretty quickly, which I appreciate. Elle, how effectively was the setting used? Like, did you feel like you had a good sense of the house, and do you think it was used as well as it could have been?
It was a little bit of a trick for me to get my head around it, just because like lofts and like open air sort of spaces like that, I don't know if I've seen.
Okay. Fair.
Hell, I haven't been in a lot of houses that have a second story.
Right.
Just because of the Australian design.
Mm-hmm. No, legit.
But to be fair, I don't know if you guys would have seen a lot of houses on stilts.
Not so much.
Because that's what they need up in Queensland to avoid the cyclones.
Legit. I think houses on stilts are not unknown here in the States, but they're less common, to be sure.
Because it's like, I have very rarely seen places with a basement, if at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just because of the way that, like, the land and the structure of everything was, you know, tradition and whatnot. But,
right.
Yeah, so trying to wrap my head around what the space actually looked like was a challenge.
That's fair, actually. I could absolutely see that. Holly, how about you? How do you feel like the use of the rooms, the layout of the house? Do you feel, because I always feel like if a film, particularly if a single location film doesn't let you have a pretty clear understanding of the geography, you can kind of sometimes feel lost in terms of trying to understand where everybody is and what's going on. Do you think this one did that effectively and did it use the setting well?
I think it did. There's a film I'm thinking of. Cannot for the life of me remember what it is, but I have like the opening sequence going through my head of the, like, I think it was like a home invasion film, and they're going like through the house in the opening credits.
Right.
So you see the house, and the house is massive. And I'm thinking of a lot of home invasion films that I've seen, and I know like the 2000s version of A Stranger Calls, it is a huge house.
Right.
And I love that this is just a simple house in the woods, and we don't need to deal with a basement or 20 trap doors or, you know, as fun as it is for them to use different elements of the house, we don't have to go through all of that.
Right.
This is more simplistic. I understand what the house is, and yeah, it's really it's about the fight for survival at this point.
Yes.
So I like that they didn't have to use any flashy elements or anything that will confuse you as to, oh wait, where is this room again? And why is it in this house?
Yeah, I always go back to one of my two favorite films ever. In terms of, it's not a home invasion film, it's not even a horror film, but it is one of the most perfect example of laying out the geography of a space, which is Serenity, the Firefly film. And how that opening sequence lays out, for people who are not familiar, you know, if you were a fan of the show, you probably know where everything is, but it very much in one scene lays out the geography. That should be the ideal. This film does it in a fairly, I think my film brain recognizes it as, okay, we're doing this so we get the layout of the house. But it fits within the context of the film when she is going around. This is after the man has already shown up, but she is going around with the dish of cat food, trying to find Bitch, because the cat's name is Bitch, which, by the way, I love. But she's going around, and it's a smooth way of letting us see where everything is without being particularly ostentatious about it. So that we know, for example, it's important that we understand this. So in the one of the final scenes, which is fully one of my favorite scenes in the movie, when she closes herself into the bathroom, we know that is a first floor room. We've seen the window. So when we're focusing on, directly on her face, and we see, and we're in her perspective, there's no sound, and we just see, like, at first you don't really understand what it is. It looks like just sparkles of light coming down behind her. And then you realize, oh, that's the window breaking. It is an incredibly effective scene because we don't have to. We immediately understand this is a first floor room. We know the layout of it. All the work has been done to set it up. So yeah, as a whole, I think this film, it uses its various rooms well, and the roof, and under the deck. It uses everything well, where if we go there, it is for a reason that A, feels natural, and B, feels like we are making a particular choice with that room. So I really enjoyed how it was used in that way. And I guess kind of an unprompted moment here. If you're looking at this, are there any particular scenes? Because I was just thinking, for me, the standout scene is again the bathroom scene. Is there a particular standout scene that you would point to and say, this is good or bad? This is sort of the most emblematic, or the scene that most resonates.
I think it's when she's escaping through the window and onto the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, she's being very careful, but it's also, she doesn't know how loud she is.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, 100%.
Which it's always the worry about it. It's like, okay, yeah, is it going to be enough? Or is it like straining even under her weight, or just everything's bad? It's just like,
Yup. That was the level of tension, because I've been on roofs before. I know how fucking loud roofs are, especially if they're an overhang roof. And I was like, oh, you don't understand how loud you're being. Shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, even like breathing, is she making like a loud enough, like panting breath, and all? She doesn't know. How could you?
Yeah, very much so. Holly, what about you? Is there a particular standout scene for you, either good or bad, that really sort of puts this over the top, or exemplifies the movie for you?
I mean, I think definitely towards the end, from her point of view, and the window breaking, and then feeling the breath on the back of her neck. I really, that is definitely, I was telling Austin about that scene. That one's a standout one for me.
So you're with me on that then. Yeah. 100%. It's well directed. I love the sound cutout. I wish he would have stabbed him in the leg, then pulled the knife out and stabbed again and again and again. But I mean, that's horror convention. And also, it does, if you do that, we don't get the fairly fantastic sequence at the end where, so in my notes for this, just at the beginning, talking about big sound as we come into the forest, sounds of cooking, blah, 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 Chekhov's corkscrew, Chekhov's fire alarm. I did not have Chekhov's wasp repellent, but like, we do get a scene of that as well, at least very briefly. It's like she goes in, I believe she goes under the sink for something when she's cooking or when she's cleaning up. But I do actually, the Chekhov's X is kind of a joke, but I like how those were set up. I enjoy establishing things like that. But yeah, that bathroom scene is chef's kiss for me.
Have I mentioned the Asimov's Tale corollary to that on the podcast?
No, I don't think so.
It was someone who wrote to Asimov, like not expecting any reply about, oh, you know, what are some writing tips? And he got back advice that boiled down to, if your character has a tail and uses that to trip someone, you need to establish earlier on how much control they have.
Yeah,
so
fair.
You wanting to use the smoke alarm as a weapon, you need to establish what it does, basically.
Yep.
Rather than just having it there as a Chekhov's gun, you actually need to load it.
Right. Yep. No, that is a very valid point. And this film does that pretty well, too.
Because it could be quite easy enough to just, she uses that, and you infer that it has those flashing lights because she's deaf. It's like, oh, well, that makes sense. But because they establish it early on, that it vibrates fairly powerfully and has flashing lights on top of whatever sound, it's like, oh, okay, that is something to keep in mind. Rather than just having the established shot of, there it is on the wall.
Right. And it's done in that opening scene. It's done in a way that, unlike, I don't know about you guys, but when the camera briefly focuses on the corkscrew, again, I wrote it, now I've seen this before, but even, it's been many years since I saw it before, so there was a lot of stuff I didn't necessarily remember. The first time I saw it, I noticed that they focused on the corkscrew, that kind of stuff. That stuff is obtrusive, but it doesn't bother me. The way that the alarm is set up is really smart, and you don't necessarily go, oh, the sound and the fact that she took it out of the wall, that's definitely going to become relevant at some point. You might, but I don't think it's super obvious about it.
I did notice that it was conspicuously left on the counter with the battery hatch open and just sort of forgotten about.
Fair enough. But yeah. So before we get into our final thoughts here, let's talk some related recommendations. Holly, if somebody particularly like this, what would you recommend as a related sort of film?
I'd already mentioned it, but I would say I would say two. When a Stranger Calls, but the original, the 70s version of it.
Right.
And I think The Purge, if you want something a little edgier that also deals with home invasion.
Fair enough. Yeah, The Purge is an interesting franchise to me. I'll be honest, I didn't love the first one. I think it's a franchise that weirdly gets better as it goes along. I didn't like any of the characters in the first one. But it is a decent home invasion film for sure. Al, how about you? What would you recommend for someone?
Okay, so this one, it's a little bit of a out there thing because it's only got like the vibe association for me, and it does also come with the caveat of, in hindsight, people related to this weren't the best.
Fair.
Dollhouse.
Yes, I can see that. I think
Joss Whedon.
The TV show?
The Joss Whedon television series. His most underrated show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing directly one-to-one. There's no, like, full-on thing, but it's just, like, it gives me the same vibes for it.
I can see that. And yes, obviously, fuck Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
I did not give my obligatory fuck Joss Whedon when I mentioned Serenity, but yes.
It was implied.
It was implied, yeah. Like, legitimately, Serenity is one of my 2 favorite movies ever. That said, fuck Joss Whedon. Horrible people can make good art, sadly. So I have 2 related recommendations. And they're both from 2021, interestingly. 2021 was a really good year for genre films built around or centered around disabled people. The first one is called See For Me, and it stars Skylar Davenport as a blind teenager who gets stuck in a home invasion situation. The character ends up using this app called See For Me to rely on someone to be her eyes to survive the situation. The app is supposed to be like people who have visual disabilities would use this app to connect with somebody who can be eyes for them in non-home invasion, like whatever situation they may need to be. In this case, it ends up being used in a home invasion. And to its credit, Davenport is actually visually impaired. I don't remember if it's the same level of blindness that the character does, but they are. It's actually using a disabled person in a role for a disabled person. Go figure. She has great chemistry with Jessica Parker Kennedy, who plays the woman on the other end of the app who's helping. Very tense, but a very fun film as well. The more specific, this is my number 1 related recommendation because they are such similar films, is Midnight. This is a South Korean thriller about, stop me if you've heard this blog line before, a deaf woman who catches the eye of a serial killer who then proceeds to stalk her. It is not a remake of Hush. It is very different. Whereas Hush is a home invasion film, this is a cat and mouse thriller where the killer proceeds to stalk her all the way throughout the city. Brilliantly tense film. Great performances by Jin Ki-ju and Wee Ha-jun as the woman and the killer, respectively. Wee Ha-jun is actually, he is best known for people who've seen Squid Games. He plays the detective who went undercover into the games. This is a very, very different role, but he is very good. Again, very similar in concept and brutality to Hush, but it's a much more expansive film. And it's a film that I will shout from the rooftops that people should see whenever I get a chance. So yeah, let's go into our final thoughts on this film. Holly, what's your final assessment? How many things out of 5 are you giving this one?
I really enjoyed it. I have some nitpicky notes, but I think it's pretty good overall. I definitely recommend it. Nice. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 corpses knocking at the door out of 5.
Fair enough. Damn it, you stole mine. I have to figure out. I have to figure out my own now. No, it's fine. Elle, what? How do you feel about this film overall, and how's your score on it?
Yeah, I'm in roughly the same boat as I liked it. I had a couple of, the sort of not nitpicky, but just sort of actuallys, which is I could feel my brain doing. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. Let it go. So
fair.
I would give it 4 times you really could have saved yourself and chose not to out of 5.
Legit. That's fair. It depends on which version. Like I said, I think that the shush cut is actually, I like it a little bit better. Either way, I think this is a really well acted, very well directed take, a very simple but solid take on the home invasion story. I like the scope. I think that keeping it stripped down is effective and makes it look really good for its budget. I mean, there are a lot of $1 million films that look way worse than this one. So ultimately, I think if it was the theatrical cut, I would be stuck between a 3.5 and a 4, leaning towards a 4. If it was the shush cut, I would be between a 4.5 and a 5, leaning towards the 4. So I'm going to go with 4 Chekhov's murder implements out of 5. But yeah, so that is Hush. For next episode, we are for realsies this time. Unlike the last time when I said I was going to do it, and then I completely changed tack and we went Rocky Horror. We're actually going to break our found footage seal and cover the Blair Witch Project. Unless I change my mind in the next couple of weeks and at the last second be like, no, we're covering, I don't know.
Repo, the genetic opera.
Repo, the genetic opera.
Seems only natural.
That would be the appropriate, comparable.
You better fucking not.
No. I want to. Because there are so many. I think I said this last time, but there are so many found footage films that I really want to talk about, but I don't think it's fair to do those until we've had until we've done not the OG. The OG exists in 1980, I want to say, and I will not subject people to, because there is animal violence in it, actual animal violence, but essentially the film that popularized found footage. So yeah, we will definitely, I promise, be covering it next time.
Join us next time as we cover Repo.
Join us next time as I hold open auditions for a new host.
I mean, that would be fair. Meanwhile, you can find us if you like what you heard here and you're just coming into us for this. Welcome. You can find us at whatever podcatcher you prefer. We are also on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Final Ghouls Pod.
Ohio, listener Kun. I feel it would be most sugoi if you could leave a rating and review of this Tanoshi podcast desu. Without it, Jeremy-sama will have to commit the seppuku mostitai. Aisha Teru.
The way I actively cringed into my body. Damn it. Anyways, meanwhile, you can find me at JThomas411Mania on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd.
You can find me at shards@kind.social on Mastodon and Shard System on Letterboxd.
You can find me at Hollycope on Blue Sky and Miniature Magic 18 on Instagram.
And you can also find all of us playing role-playing games at Final Films on Twitch and YouTube. Al, give us our survival guide tip, and please do not use the word kawaii in it.
Leprechauns and genies don't really want to grant you those 3 wishes.